and welcome to another broadcast of Keys to Your Best Life. I am your host, Maggie Kavanaugh, and I am here today with a very precious couple. I love these two so much. Drew and Christy Sanford, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thanks for having us. We're excited.
So honored to have you. And Drew, I know you're out on the road a lot. You're traveling and so busy. It's just an honor to see you. I haven't seen you in months, but we're going to be talking about a hot topic today. So I want you to grab your soda pop or your coffee or whatever it is, because we're going to talk about marriage. And we're not just going to talk about any old marriage. We're going to talk about biblical marriage, what it looks like. How long have y'all been married?
We're at 27 this year.
Yeah.
Yes, 27.
27 this year. Okay, think about that, y'all. 27 years. So whenever y'all got married,
Yes.
how long had you been dating? Is that an okay question to ask?
A very
Go for
short
it.
time, which is kind of funny. So, right, we met in the summer of the year before we got married. It's actually a funny story, and Christy can elaborate on it a little bit, but it's funny that we met because of a college group at church. We were spending some time together, and then ended up leading some different events and some things together, and then it was kind of like it just kind of transitioned into, oh, we're around each other every day, right? And then it just kind of went into that, and we got engaged, I guess, about 7-8 months into the relationship, and then we got married the next summer. So it was a short time.
Well, in a sense, though, but since you spent so much time together, it probably was equivalent to if you guys were like dating once a week or seeing each other just on the weekends and so forth. Probably you could expand that out a little bit. Really, technically, it was probably longer because of the amount of time that you both spent together getting to know each other and
That's
so forth.
true.
Did your families know each other?
No, well, sort of. They knew of each other because we had all been at the same church together. And I think we had gone to different services and things like that, but they knew a lot of the same people.
Okay.
So it had been in similar circles. But it was funny because I think people were like, are y'all dating? We were like, no, we're just best friends. And then we were like, wait a minute, are we dating? And they were like, I think we're dating. So it was kind of funny. So yeah, but it was
y'all
great.
were the last to know. No.
Yeah,
Exactly,
it was kind of
right,
like that.
exactly.
Yeah, because everybody's like, oh, y'all are dating. We're like, no, we're just best friends. So
I
it was
love
cute.
it. I love it. And let me ask you this, because this is something very important. People don't think about this a lot. Where are you at in your birth line? Okay.
Birth line. I am the baby, actually.
Woo!
Yes.
And I'm the oldest.
Okay. Wow. That's a good combination right there.
Yes.
So, and people don't realize that truly makes a difference. So if you're out there and you're thinking about engagement, get to know the person really well. Find out where
It's
all
true.
this stuff.
It's true.
I love that. So being the baby, and I'm the baby.
Yes.
My husband is the baby.
Oh.
So like when you got two babies together,
That's
you're
hard.
like, I want my way. It's
True.
my way,
True.
And so it's very important to understand those dynamics. So how long had y'all been married when you had your first child?
2 years, I think.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, because she'll be 25 this year. So yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they just jump right into it. They start
Yes.
having kids. So you had time to really narrow down those partner styles and habits and those things of learning each other
Sort
before
of.
you had children.
I think we're still learning that.
That's a full-time job.
That's a full-time job, yes. It's
an ongoing
But
thing.
it's true. It's true. I think we did. We had a few minutes, as we say, to just really enjoy us for a minute. And I think that was really good. So for us, it was good timing.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love
It's pretty
it.
amazing.
So tell the audience how many children you have now.
We actually have 4. So our oldest one, like I said, she'll be 25 this year, and she is married, and we love him. He's adorable, and they're so
Yes.
cute together. And then we have a son that's next, and he is actually engaged and getting married this summer, and she is a prize as well. So we are so blessed with both of those. And then our third one is Sophie. She's a daughter, of course, and she is in college. And then our youngest one, he actually turns 18 this coming week,
crazy.
and graduates from high school this coming week as well.
Last one leaving high school. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's going to be a new season for us.
A totally new
Yeah.
season, and I've had the opportunity to watch them grow up, and it just makes me feel so old.
No, it makes us feel old.
Well, I absolutely love it. And one of the things that I've watched over the years, and listen, y'all, the reason I wanted them on this show is because they are doing it well. And you might be thinking, are they doing it perfect? No, there's no perfect marriage.
No.
And because we're imperfect people in an imperfect world. But I've watched them do it well over the years, and I thought, what a great time here with Chesley, getting ready to graduate high school, and you having raised such amazing kids who I absolutely love all of them. It is a great time to get you guys on here, because so many times people, they just don't feel like they're ever going to get to that point. And they're like, what comes next after we raise the kids?
It is true.
And I see so many people in the years of biblical counseling with couples where when their kids are grown, all of a sudden they're like, everything has been focused on the kids, and they go this way.
True.
But I've watched the two of you over the years. Yes, you've been very focused and very intentional with your children, but you've always been intentional with your marriage. And that's what we're talking about today, is being intentional with your marriage. So what do you think is the #1 ingredient next to the Lord in the center, right?
Of course.
I always tell people, here's you, here's your spouse, here's God. The closer you get to God, the closer your relationship's going to be. But what do you think, Christy, has been a key for you guys?
Yes.
And not the key at the end, because I'm going to have you get a good key.
I think for us, we have always been intentional about planning either a date night or an overnight once a month, being very intentional about it. Like you said earlier, people that have, there's people that have way more kids than we do, but having 4 kids that are close together, there were always activities, always events, always activities. And for us, we always knew that, but we always tried to set time aside. We usually, now lately we haven't been as good about it, but especially when the kids are growing up, on Sunday nights, it was kind of our time to review and say, okay, what's coming up this week? And that kind of kept us on track as well. Like I said, we haven't been as good about it the last probably a little bit. But
we're getting called out.
Yeah, we are getting called out. Hey, we're transparent. We still love each other. But I really think for us, that's been the key, is really trying to be intentional, like you said, about a date night or an overnight. He's still my favorite person to travel with. He's still my favorite person to go places with. So that part doesn't change, And I think it's like you said, building that over time so that when you are in a place when the kids, are not there. I was reading something this morning, a meme that said, parents of little kids don't really go on vacation, they just parent in another city. And it's true. When they're little, you feel like that. True. It's true. But I think for us now that they're older, they're more independent, I think for us, it's been sweet because we still are our favorite people to travel with. So for us, for me, that's kind of the way I feel.
And that's amazing, because I talk to a lot of women where, if they've been married for, 5 years, they're going, I want to go on vacation by myself. And I'm like, but, the Bible says that 2 become 1.
Yes.
And so you all become 1, you've meshed well together. So what do you think has been an important ingredient that has kept you guys so firmly rooted?
So I think for us, right, early on in marriage, when you're working through it, it's this whole thing, you want the utopia, right? You want it, and it's like, oh, can we agree on everything? Well, the answer is no. Right, you're not going to agree on anything. But I think one of the key things that's worked for us is realizing, there's going to be seasons where, we may agree on this, we may not agree on this, we may make decisions that, but it's walking them out together. So even if you don't agree, right, even if you walk through it, you come to a point that you realize, hey, we're in this together regardless. At the end of the day, we're still married, we're still walking this out. I still have the 4 kids that I'm walking through with, right? And it's about walking out those seasons and realizing, okay, maybe I'm not 100% in agreement here, but you know what? We're still a partnership walking forward with that. And I think it's so important to realize that, it's more about walking together and less about everything being this balance. I think so many people look at marriage being, okay, well, you need this balance and what it is. And it's just not realistic, right? There's going to be times, there's going to be seasons in what you walk through, but it's about walking through those together, more about that than it is everything being this joint decision. Let me say it there.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that is really good, because when you think about it, people are always saying marriage is 50-50. Heck no, man, you need to give it 100%.
Yes.
If you're not willing to give it your all, then why in the heck are you married?
Right.
I'm just being real here.
Yes.
So I want to go back to something you said, Christy, because it's so very important. You talked about Sunday nights and that being like a casting for the week, in a family meeting, so to speak. And I chuckle, and I will never forget this statement, because I remember one time, when we're talking about like conflict and things like that, and you said, Drew and I are going to have discovery time.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
what is discovery time?
Oh, discovery time is all those seasons, right? Where you know you're right, and we're just going to spend a moment talking and discovering something new about each other, right?
Yes.
And that may be something we do like, that may be something we don't like. But guess what? At the end of the day, we're going to know something different about each other
Yes.
that we didn't know going in. And so that
Yes.
when we joke about discovery time, I don't remember where we first heard that. It was
Maybe from like our marriage counselor.
Yeah,
from
it was
Miss
a
Margaret.
counseling thing way a long time ago. But it's become a staple of who we
Yeah.
are. It's about even when we're disagreeing, we're learning something, right? And it's not seeing the disagreement as the end goal. It's seeing the disagreement as merely a process in discovering something new about each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's so healthy. It's very healthy for a marriage. It's very healthy for an individual to discover new things about us because we put
Absolutely.
ourselves under a lot of pressure. And
Yes.
we put our spouses under pressure.
Yes.
And I know, Drew, you travel intensively. I mean, like you were all over the globe. I ran into you at the airport a couple months ago. I was like, does the guy ever sleep? I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't even know how you deal with all the time changes. Why don't you guys, maybe Christy, you talk a little bit about how do you keep the communication going when you have a spouse that's traveling? A lot of people have
Yeah.
people that have to be gone out of the house, and you have to be, again, intentional. But what are some of the things you and Drew do to keep that connection while he is traveling?
Yes, I think probably one of the biggest things is we even laugh about it, sometimes we over communicate. So is that really a thing? But I think we do. I think we're constantly in contact if it's not texting or calling. He is amazing. Sometimes we laugh about it because he's probably more about the touchy-feely side than I am. And so it's a little bit of a role reversal maybe from some marriages. But he has always been amazing about calling and checking in on me, or, we're driving and he's like waiting for me, to make sure I've caught up or whatever. And so for him, he's always been amazing at that. He's like, okay, let's check in. And so I think it's become a habit in our relationship because of that. He was traveling a lot when our kids were little, and so sometimes we would hop in the plane and go with him or car, and I think we've just developed a habit of really communicating, and not big, long communications, but little snippets throughout the day.
Yeah, touch and base.
Yes, just touch and base, staying connected. We have things like we established when we were first married, if we're going to spend more than this dollar amount. Now the dollar amount's grown because we've, actually make more than a few dollars now. But we'd say, okay, if you're going to spend more than this, touch base, Okay. So we still kind of do that. Hey, I need to do this. Let me check in with him first, those kind of things. So I think we've developed that kind of habit.
Well, and I would add to it, if you're the spouse that's traveling, right? I'd say in different seasons we've done this better than others. I'll say that for me, one of the things that's so important is being away is not an escape.
Right.
So many people when they travel, and especially if you travel a lot, it becomes a problem because if it's an escape, then I'm always gone, right?
Yeah.
And I think that one of the key things is I have to remember that when I'm traveling, it doesn't matter, at the end of the day, I'm still coming home. I'm going to say that, right? So when I go in the hotel or when I'm doing whatever, I'm still engaged in what's happening at home. I'm still taking care of the things I need to take care of. I'm still walking through those things. I'm not constantly gone and acting like, oh, this is my fun time while I'm away.
Right.
And I think if you fall into that trap, then you're going to have problems because then it's about you had experiences that you didn't get to share with your spouse or things that are going on, and then you get this difference of life. Right. And so for me, it's so much about, I have to go away from my work. Yes, there's things I have to do. But at the end of the day, we're still in it together. Right. And I want her to know what I experienced. She wants me to know what she experienced at home, what's going on. And it can't be a burden. It's got to be us in it together in each parts of our life, that it's still one life we're walking.
Yeah.
That's so good, so good. And it allows you all that little touching here and there, that when he gets home, you're not having to unload all of that stuff and, and taking up all that time. You can truly enjoy each other's presence.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, I have watched you guys over the years, and I imagine technology now affords you staying in touch a little easier.
Yes.
You can FaceTime, you can Zoom, you can do all of these other things. Where probably earlier in your marriage, you didn't have quite the luxury of all that. So has that helped?
Yes, I think so. We laugh about it. He gets to his hotel and he's like, check out this view, and he FaceTimes,
Yes.
And so I think we definitely do those kind of things. Or he's like, what's happening in the city, and we're like looking it up, and I'm like, okay, go see this, and then he'll FaceTime, hey, I'm seeing this.
So it becomes part of it. You're becoming part of it, and that keeps that unity there. And I think a lot of times in relationships, we don't experience those things together in a sense, or bring that partner along for the experience. It's so crazy because my husband and I, we have the same. He doesn't work work out of town anymore per se, but he works nights,
Yeah.
and I'm busy in the day.
Yes.
So we don't, we have to be very intentional on his days off.
Right.
However, we still allow each other the experience, the communication, and so forth.
Yes.
To be on the same page of what's going on. So something that I've watched you all do over the years that I thought was really cool is in busy seasons of your life, you've also been able to do a good job at managing fun.
Yes.
The Sanford Six is fun. And listen, y'all, they actually named their family the Sanford Six.
Yes.
And that just speaks unity for your family, you and your
Yes.
children. And now they have, a son-in-law and a future daughter-in-law, so it's expanding.
It is.
So I don't know, do you have a new name?
No, we don't. We're kind of the Sanford clan at this point.
Yeah,
but
okay.
it usually goes back to the Sanford Six,
Yes.
and they are like, okay, I think someone asked us when we, Sydney first got married, they were like, okay, well, is Tyler going to become like the Sanford Seven, or is she going to become the Adams whatever? And so we've laughed about it. It was like, no, we're just all the Sanford clan, so it's good.
Sanford 6+1.
That's right. It's good.
But something I watched y'all do, and I thought it was so fun, is because I've had the opportunity to see this is a very creative, gifted family in many ways. And doing productions together.
Yes.
I've watched you guys do plays together over the
Yes.
years. And I'm sitting there watching, and Christy, I just love it because Christy's back kind of going like, yes, I'm here, and don't make me talk. And Drew's over here singing, dancing, and all of this. And so, but yet the kids were involved. So can
Absolutely.
you talk about the importance of bringing your kids along with your passions and doing fun things together that is also learning and training?
So
Yes.
I will say something interesting about that. So we you talk about being busy, right?
Yes.
We reached a season when as the kids started getting like, the older ones were, up, upper single digits, getting up into double digits, right up, age-wise and what it was, that we started evaluating, and like, one was in football, one was in baseball, another one was playing basketball, another one was doing this, another one was doing that. And it had us in that loop of we were having to be everywhere to be involved in everybody's lives, and it was not sustainable.
Right.
Right. And I see so many families that go through that. And there's a balance for a family. A family has one kid, maybe it's not a problem. Family
Sure.
has two, you might find a way to do it. You start getting more kids than you have hands, and it starts to get to be a little bit challenging.
100%.
So we made a decision, and luckily we were in the position, we were blessed to be in the position to do it, is we were looking, and a few of our kids were involved in a few little theater things and what it was, and Christy had been a theater major in college, and I grew up, I love playing music and things like that. We just made a decision that as a family, we were going to try to pick something and then be all in doing it together. And so it's been a blessing at different points, whether we were just serving backstage, whether I was on stage doing something, whether Christy was producing or directing a show. It was finding ways for us all to participate in it doesn't matter what it is. For us, it was theater. It could be whatever. But it was all of us being involved together, and that's been great because it's actually served well for the kids as they've grown.
Yes.
Their engagement with each other, how they've worked with each other, how they work through problems has been so much more mature and different than, say, if they didn't have the interaction with each other, and the only time they saw each other was when they were running home after some sporting event or what it is. So for us, it's been a real blessing. I don't know that that's the perfect formula for everybody, but for us, it's worked very well.
I think it's good too because along the way, especially like something like theater, we were able to teach them aspects along the way and engage in different groups of people, but we did it as a family unit.
Yes.
And so for me, it wasn't like just sending them out to do something, but we were there involved, but not as a helicopter parent, but more as we were doing this together and showing them how to love on people from all walks of life. And it wasn't just us saying, okay, be friendly to people, but we were actually doing it as a family unit and being an example. And I think it's something that even both sets of our families, his family as well as mine, they were very involved always with people. And so that's something that we always wanted to do, was to teach our kids to be involved with all walks of life. And so this was a great way to do both, kind of.
Yeah, and you did such a great job at it. And so for those of you that do not personally know them, they've homeschooled. And I hear all the time, my kids won't get a social life. And I'm like, they will get a social life, and they will get exposed to people types and so forth.
They will.
So how does it feel knowing that soon you're going to have a son graduating, the last one, and you don't have to think about curriculum, you don't have to think about textbooks and so forth. What does that feel like?
It's weird. I'm still processing. We went this week, I guess 2 days ago, Thursday, and he was defending his senior thesis, and I was sitting there thinking, Wow. He's a senior. He's graduating. He has written this paper far better than the papers I wrote in college. And he is speaking eloquently. He is responding properly. And I'm like, I don't know what to do now with him. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just going to love on him. But it was weird because I think we always kind of knew the next one was still there. And so even, it's kind of like you said about textbooks. You know, I got an email that says, hey, do you need to register your students for the fall? And I'm thinking, oh, I don't. It's weird. It's weird you don't do that again. And so I think we're going to feel a little bit of change, but it's still good, and it feels good. It feels like we've done a good job with completion. Obviously, like you said, it's not perfect, but I'm super proud of him, and it's really been a beautiful thing to watch him mature and grow, and to know I feel like that he's ready to go. You know, so we'll see.
You've done a great job preparing all
Hopefully.
of your kids. I absolutely
Lots of prayer.
love them.
Lots of prayer.
They're great young adults.
They really are.
They really are, and you've done a great job. So how important would you say it is to, I know you guys are, you know, you worship together. Drew, you're a worship leader, so it's not a problem to get, you know, somebody to play some music and worship together. But I'd like to talk for a moment about the role that prayer has played over the years in your marriage.
Yes. One of my favorite things that we did, especially when the kids were little, is I can't remember how many years we did this, but we had a family prayer journal.
Yeah, that's
And so I can't remember what day of the week we would sit down and we would go around the table. And I remember when they were really little, it would be things like, okay, Sally Sue's mom, pray for her. And so then we would write, you know, one little line, or something like, okay, I hope I make this, you know, silly little things that in our brain are like, really, you know, but it was precious to them.
Yes.
And then watching them as we began to see them mature, it would be like, my friend is really struggling. I need him to have wisdom. And you were like, okay, these kids know. But I'll tell you what the best part is sometimes we would pull the old one out and go back and look and see things that had happened to build them, because it was their prayers, you know, that had been fulfilled or answered in a specific way. And to me, that was something that played a huge part. One funny story I will tell you, I went to one of the Beth Moore studies. Now, I can't remember which one it was. They'll probably remember in a little while. But it was one where I remember Beth on the video said, I finally just told my kids, get on their face on the front of God right now, and we're repenting, and we are praying over this. And I remember we had, you know, we're all real spicy. And so we had one of those Sunday mornings when you're trying to get to church. Drew had to be there super early because he was leading worship, and the Sanford Six were out of control. And we got there early, nobody was there yet, and I marched everybody back to the nursery. I said, on the floor, everybody. And we were on the floor, and I'm like, we're praying right now. And it's funny because, as ridiculous as it sounds, I remember, I can't remember which child it was that it said later, it said, I remember that you were willing to do that because you knew it was crazy. And I was like, you know, if nothing else, if they know that that's something that pauses the crazy and refocuses, it was worth the crazy moment, you know?
Wow.
So, but I just remember that was something.
Well, and I'll say, when you talk about the journals, it was also really neat because, you know, different seasons of your life with the age of your kids, you know, real stuff's happening, right?
Yes.
You know, whether it's stuff they're aware of, not aware of, you know, and there's certain things you can share and can't share, right? But at the same point, we were always specific, like even the stuff we wrote in the journal with them, right? We wanted to make sure that they, you know, we were sharing real things. Now,
right.
There may be a depth that we don't maybe include or whatever, but as we were going through life and walking through that, to a point, they were experiencing and walking through the challenges that as a family, as what we were seeing and whatever, they were experiencing it with us. And sometimes that was a lot of fun. Sometimes it wasn't so much fun, right? I mean, there was, you know, there were seasons where there were challenges. There were questions that we had. There were things trying to figure out. And so to the degree that we felt comfortable sharing with them, it gave us an opportunity to have a moment, all of us actually spend the time praying about it and understand what it was, but then all of us own a piece of it. And I think that that was also really useful, even now, because they see that as a part of how you walk through things, which is not something necessarily that everybody gets that opportunity to.
Oh my gosh, you guys need to write a book. You just need to write a book, because along the way of seeing the different things going through people's lives, it not only gives them the opportunity to learn to pray for these people and see their prayers answered by reflecting back, but it also allows them to see the humanity of people.
Absolutely.
And the need for a Savior.
Yes,
And
100%.
it instills in them that, hey, everything's not always perfect. You know,
Right.
we live in a world where so many times it's like, if something happens, you know, they're like, what am I going to do? I can't handle this, you know?
Right.
But if they have been, it has been instilled in them, life happens. The Bible
Yes.
says that in this world, that means
Yes.
here and now, where we're living right now,
Absolutely.
we will have trials and tribulations. But then it goes on to say, but cheer up, I've overcome the world. So you not only trained them how to pray, but you trained them how to see real life circumstances and how God can enter in and how
Yes.
He's faithful. So that's incredible. So what about the intimacy prayer between the two of you when they're not around? Well, you can talk about the nitty gritty stuff that's
Yes.
going on.
Yes.
You know, finances and other people's divorces and life crises and all those
Yes.
things that you could not share to the full extent with
Yeah.
them. How important was it for the two of you to come
Huge.
together?
Huge. One of the things that has been a hallmark for us, I think, is usually around November, we have always kind of taken a trip. His birthday is the 1st of December, so kind of like that November season and end of November, 1st of December, we take some time, we fast, and we run away.
I love it.
And it's been super beneficial for us. And there's been times when we know intentionally we've got something specific we're going to pray about. And so we do that. Or we'll take, Drew will have his journal, I'll have my journal. We'll go take an hour apart, and then we come back and discuss it together. So we do things like that. And that is really, in some moments, it's like, it's very messy because we are spicy. And so it's our moments to hash things out, have our discovery times. But at the end, it comes back together, and it's beautiful because it's like, okay, let's just take these 4 things in and let's just pray. And so we do that. We pray, we separate, write our things, we come back. And it's so fun when that happens because one of my favorite things is one time, I'm definitely more of a big picture visual, and he is definitely like details. And so we had done this one time, and I remember I was like, had these big things. Okay, I see this and this and this. And then we came back together and I was like, but how in the world is that going to happen? And it was so cool, just like God, because in his thing, he was like, okay, the first thing you need to do is this. And I was like, of course, that's how it works. And so that to me has kind of been our time to really take those serious things. I mean, we have times, of course, during the regular time.
Yeah,
like I'll wake him up at night like, dude, you got to pray right now. I'm having a weird dream. Pray over me right now. And you know, he's amazing to do that. But I think for us, every year we really try to be intentional about that particular time.
Well, and I think it's also really interesting. Like when you talk about the journal time, it's funny. It's, you know, when we say that, because even hearing you say it, right, you can tend to over romanticize the experience, right?
Yeah,
and I'll say that. I mean, I'm thinking back a couple of years ago, we did that, and I did not want to do it.
Right.
I didn't want to be there. It was because we had so much going on. There was so much going in our life.
Yes.
There was so many places I didn't have answers. You know, this is not like 10 years ago. This is like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have answers, and I was like, I'm just not there right now. But it was also at the point of, we need to be there right now.
Yeah.
And so even though it was a little bit like, you know, you say spicy, right? We have our moments, right? And it's about walking through it, but being willing to pause for a minute, look at it, and it may be uncomfortable. There may be things, you just don't know, right? But it's being willing to walk through it and do it, and it has. I agree with her 100%. It's been a key piece of even this year, right? I mean, it's been a key piece of, you know, what's coming for us, what's here in the next year. I think when you talk about the kids moving out, right? You know, the whole thing with people switching around and you know, what's your life look like versus what does it look like taking care of your kids and all that. It really is for us. You know, we've made sure that we have an identity regardless of what we're doing with the kids. So it's just been a really interesting walk.
Yeah.
They've given us so many keys today, and I just want to tell you guys, I am advocating for them to write a book, and I think that you would jump on board as well. We're out of time today, but oh my gosh, I have so enjoyed y'all being here. What we're talking about today is being intentional. Be intentional with your life, your relationship with the Lord, with your marriage, and your children. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. God bless.